Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Always fun to be back.
So today we're looking at Animate-X, that new animation technology that's making waves.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about it. Seems like it's got everyone talking.
Yeah, and for good reason. From what I've seen in the materials you sent over, it's like, well, it's not just another animation tool. It's something totally different, almost like AI that can actually breathe life into characters.
I know. The way they're describing it as a symphony of art and science is just, it's so intriguing.
It is. Okay, so
Yeah.
before we get ahead of ourselves, let's back up a bit.
Sure.
What is Animate-X, like, at its core?
Well, at its core, Animate-X uses something called Latent Diffusion Models, or LDMs, to generate movement.
LDMs. That sounds kind of complex.
It is, but think of it this way. Um, Imagine you could show a computer every single dance move out there, from like ballet all the way to breakdancing.
Okay, I'm picturing it. Thousands of dance moves,
Yeah.
all fed into a computer.
Exactly. And not just the moves themselves, but also the subtle details, the mechanics behind each motion. And that's what LDMs do. They learn from these massive data sets of motion capture, analyzing how real humans move to really understand not just the how, but also the why of every movement.
So it's not just copying movements, it's actually understanding the physics behind them.
Exactly.
Okay, that's pretty mind-blowing.
Right.
But how does that actually translate into creating animation? Like in a practical sense?
Well, that's where the real magic happens. Animate-X takes these crazy complex LDM algorithms and makes them user-friendly.
Okay, because I was going to say it sounds pretty intimidating for the average animator.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But Animate-X actually breaks down those animations into smaller, more manageable data sets. And this is what allows for some seriously precise motion capture.
So essentially it's making it easier to create characters that move in a way we've never really seen before.
Exactly. We're talking about a level of fluidity and realism that, frankly, hasn't been possible with traditional animation tools.
Got it. So I'm starting to see why everyone's so excited about this. But, there's another feature that caught my eye. What are they called? The pose indicators.
Oh, yeah. The pose indicators are really cool. They're kind of like, Well, imagine having a dance instructor right there beside you, giving you real-time feedback and suggestions as you're working.
Okay, so it's not just about telling you if you're doing a move wrong, it's actually helping you improve.
Exactly. The pose indicators in Animate-X act as your creative partner. They make sure every pose is not only anatomically correct, but also, conveys the emotion, the intention that you, the animator, want to get across.
Wow. It's like having a built-in quality control expert who also understands art.
Exactly. And it's this focus on realism and detail that really sets Animate-X apart. Traditional animation tools, they often struggle with things like, hair and clothing movement, making characters look stiff and unnatural. But with Animate-X, the LDMs and those pose indicators work together to generate movements that flow naturally, right down to the smallest details.
Okay, so it's like taking animation to a whole new level of sophistication.
Exactly.
You mentioned something called the A2 bench earlier. What exactly is that?
Oh, yeah. So the A2 bench is essentially, it's like a benchmark, a tool they use to, evaluate animation quality. It looks at things like fidelity and fluidity.
So like how accurate and smooth the animation is.
Yeah, exactly. And get this, Animate-X consistently outperforms all the other animation tools on the A2 bench.
Really? By a lot.
By a significant margin. It actually exceeds industry standards, which is pretty remarkable.
So it's not just hype, it's actually backed up by data.
Pres-
Now, one of the articles you sent mentioned that traditional animation tools, they often have trouble creating realistic cloth and hair movement, especially in like fast-paced action scenes.
Oh, absolutely. That's always been a huge challenge.
So is that where Animate-X really shines?
You bet. It's one of the areas where the LDMs and pose indicators really pay off. Imagine a character, leaping across rooftops, clothes billowing, hair flowing naturally. It's incredibly difficult to get that right with traditional methods, but Animate-X makes it much more achievable.
Wow. Okay, now I'm imagining like superhero movies and video games where those details are so crucial for making the world believable. It could be a game changer.
Absolutely. And that's really just scratching the surface of what Animate-X can do. But before we dive into all of that, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what this technology might mean for the future of animation as a whole. What sort of potential do you see?
Well, I mean, just from what we've talked about so far, it seems like Animate-X could have a massive impact. Like if it's making high-quality animation easier and more accessible, wouldn't that wouldn't that basically democratize the whole industry?
You're spot on. The potential is definitely there to empower, independent animators, smaller studios, giving them access to tools that were previously out of reach.
Right. Because those tools are usually so expensive and require so much specialized knowledge.
Exactly. And this could lead to a much more diverse range of stories being told through animation, which I think is incredibly exciting.
I love that. More diverse stories, more voices being heard. That's fantastic. Okay, but before we get like too lost in the big picture, there's this little side note you have about freebeat.ai. It seems completely random. What's the connection to Animate-X?
It might seem like a jump, but it's actually a great example of how the core tech behind Animate-X can be applied in unexpected ways.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Remember those LDMs we talked about? The ones that, learn and understand movement?
Yeah, the dance move database.
Exactly. Well, freebeat.ai takes that same technology and applies it to generating AI-powered dance videos.
Wait, hold on. So it's like having those superpowered choreographers we talked about, but instead of animating characters, they're creating entire dance routines.
You got it. And just like Animate-X, it's all about making the process more accessible and intuitive. Anyone can use it.
So we're talking about AI that can actually generate dance moves that are like good, not just those stiff robot dances we see in old movies.
Oh, way beyond that. We're talking about fluid, expressive, realistic dances. And the coolest part, it's not just for professionals.
So you're saying I could create my own custom dance routines, even though I have like 2 left feet?
Precisely. You can choose from a library of styles, input some basic parameters, and freebeat.ai does the rest. It generates a complete routine that matches exactly what you're looking for.
That's wild. Okay, now I'm starting to see the ripple effects of this technology. It's not just animation. It's about like changing how we create and experience movement in the digital world.
You're getting it. But before we get too carried away, let's take a closer look at how freebeat.ai actually works and what makes it so unique.
Sounds like a plan. I'm definitely ready to explore this AI dance world a bit further.
So you're curious about how freebeat.ai works.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's one thing to say AI can make dance moves, but it's another to actually, see it in action. What sets it apart from just like motion capture on a real dancer?
Well, the thing is, Freaky.ai, it combines those latent diffusion models we talked about with a really user-friendly interface, so it makes creating those dance routines surprisingly easy.
Okay, so it's not just copying existing moves, it's actually generating new ones.
Exactly. It's about creating completely unique sequences.
Okay, so walk me through it. Like, let's say I want to make an AI dance video. Where do I even start?
Okay, well, imagine choosing from this huge library of dance styles.
Yeah.
Everything from hip-hop to ballet to, even those viral TikTok dances.
Oh, wow. So many choices.
Right. You pick the style you want, then you put in some basic stuff like the tempo, the energy level, and then freebeat.ai, it takes it from there. It generates a whole dance routine, just like you asked for.
Hold on. So I don't even have to be a dancer to create these videos.
Okay.
I can just like pick a style and let the AI do its thing.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so cool. It's like it opens up this whole world of dance to anyone, no matter what their skill level is.
That's amazing. But what about the quality? Are the dances actually, good? Would they impress a real choreographer? Or is it more like, for fun?
The thing is, the dances are, well, they're surprisingly realistic, like super detailed. It's not just about stringing steps together. It's about capturing those little nuances, the dynamics that make a dance really cool to watch.
So it's like having a pro choreographer working behind the scenes, making sure everything flows together.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And, it's not just about how it looks. Freebeat.ai, it also lets you adjust stuff like the rhythm, the timing, even the emotional feel of the dance.
Wow. So I have a lot of control over the final product.
You do. It's pretty impressive, actually.
I can see so many possibilities. Music videos, social media stuff, even like virtual dance classes where everyone's learning the same AI routine.
Exactly. You're totally getting it. And it goes beyond just entertainment, too. The source material even mentions how freebeat.ai could be used for, like, fitness and rehab, helping people learn new movements and improve their coordination.
Oh, wow. I hadn't even thought of that.
It's pretty amazing.
So it's like bridging the gap between art, entertainment, and even health.
Exactly. It just goes to show how AI-powered animation can do so much more than just create, pretty pictures. It can actually make a real difference in people's lives.
It's really cool. It's funny. When we started this deep dive, I was mostly interested in Animate-X and, how it can make animation more realistic. But now I'm seeing how that same tech is being used for all these other things like AI dance. It really shows how powerful and how versatile this stuff is.
And that's a key point. We often focus on, the specific applications of technology, but sometimes the real innovation is in those core principles that can be used in totally different areas.
So Animate-X and freebeat.ai, they're both like expressions of the same basic advancement in AI and animation.
Exactly. And who knows what other applications will pop up, down the road.
It's exciting to think about.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the possibilities, the cool stuff, but are there any like downsides to this technology? Any challenges that come with this much advancement?
That's a great question, and it's a really important one to think about. Whenever you have disruptive technology like this, there are always concerns, potential pitfalls. And one of the biggest things that comes up is the impact on jobs. Will AI eventually replace, human animators and choreographers?
Right, that's a valid concern. We see it happening everywhere, right? AI is getting more and more sophisticated.
Yeah.
But do you see it as a threat or more like an opportunity?
Honestly, I think it's a little bit of both. Some tasks that humans do now, well, they might get automated as AI tools become more common, but I also think it's a chance for creative professionals to, adapt and evolve.
So instead of seeing AI as competition, it's more about finding ways to work with it, to use it to our advantage.
Precisely. Imagine animators using Animate-X to handle those tedious, repetitive tasks. It would free up their time so they can focus on the really creative stuff, the stuff that needs that human touch. Or choreographers using freebeat.ai to explore, new movement possibilities, pushing the boundaries of what's possible in dance.
It's like that saying, work smarter, not harder. AI can be that extra set of hands, that creative partner that helps us achieve more.
Exactly. And let's not forget about accessibility. These tools can empower people who might not have the resources or the training to get into animation or dance the traditional way. Imagine a young animator who can suddenly bring their stories to life with Animate-X, or someone who's always wanted to dance but never had the chance, exploring their creativity through freebeat.ai.
That's a really good point. It's about leveling the playing field, opening up those creative doors for so many more people. And who knows what amazing talent and new ideas we might discover as a result.
The potential is huge. It's really exciting.
Think about AI in general, especially when it comes to, creativity. One of the articles mentioned this concern about AI-generated content becoming like indistinguishable from stuff made by humans. Do you worry that we might lose that human touch, that spark of originality as these tools get even more advanced?
It's a valid concern, definitely. And it's something we need to talk about, as AI becomes more and more integrated into how we create things. The key, I think, is remembering that AI is a tool. It's an extension of our own creativity, not a replacement for it.
So it's about finding that balance, right? Using AI to enhance our abilities, but not letting it take over completely.
Exactly. And that's where things like artistic vision, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, those things are still so important. They're uniquely human, and they'll always be essential, even in a world where AI can create, incredibly realistic stuff.
That makes sense. It's not about being afraid of the tech. It's about understanding its limitations and using it in a way that serves our creative goals.
Perfectly put. And it reminds us that we, as humans, we have a responsibility to guide how AI is developed and used. We need to make sure it benefits everyone.
That's a great point. And it actually connects to something else I wanted to ask about. The source material briefly mentioned that Animate-X can be used to make animations smoother and more fluid when choreographing images. Can you explain that a bit more?
Oh, sure. That's a cool application. Basically, Animate-X can create these really smooth transitions and movements between still images. So you can turn, static visuals into moving animations.
So instead of just a slideshow of pictures, it's like making them flow together like a mini movie.
Yeah, exactly. And it could be used for so many things. Imagine bringing, old historical photos to life, or using it in graphic design to add movement and depth to layouts.
Wow, it's like giving life to something that was like frozen in time.
It really is.
And the fact that Animate-X can do it so realistically, it's pretty mind-blowing.
It really shows how powerful this technology is, how it can blur the lines between different mediums and open up all these new possibilities for creativity.
It makes me think about those deep fake videos that have been going around, the ones where they use AI to make like super realistic but totally fake footage. It seems like there's a fine line between using this technology for good and using it in ways that could be, misleading or even harmful.
That's a really important point. We definitely need to be aware of how this technology could be misused,
Mhm.
especially as it gets even more advanced. We need to have those conversations about ethics, about transparency, and about making sure it's being used responsibly.
For sure. It's a good reminder that with every new technology, there are both opportunities and challenges. And it's up to us to, figure out how to navigate those responsibly to make
Yeah.
sure we're using these tools for good.
I totally agree. It's a team effort. Developers, creators, and society as a whole, we all have a role to play in shaping the future of AI and animation. We need to make sure it benefits everyone.
That's a great note to end on. It's been awesome exploring Animate-X and the world of AI animation with you. This has been a really cool journey.
The pleasure's all mine. You definitely given our listener a lot to think about.
And before we go, you said you had one final mind-blowing question for me.
All right, get ready. What if Animate-X and tech like it completely changed how we interact with all digital content, how we even make it?
Whoa, okay. That's a big one. I mean, we've already seen it shaking things up in animation and even like AI dance, but where else could this go?
Think about it. A world where you don't just watch content, you actually co-create it in real time, like interactive stories. The characters actually respond to your choices.
Wait, so like the story changes based on what I do?
Exactly. And it's all powered by AI animation that adapts on the fly. Or imagine super personalized education. You're learning about a complex scientific thing, but instead of just reading about it, there's this dynamic AI simulation that brings it all to life. And it changes based on how you learn best.
Hold up. So you're saying we could go from watching animated movies to actually like being in them and changing how the story goes. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
That's just the beginning. Think about gaming, VR, even shopping online, trying on clothes, but not on a static model, but on a moving avatar that's powered by AI that copies your movements.
Okay, now we're talking about a future where the real world and the digital world are basically merging. That's kind of freaky, but also really cool.
It is. It's like redefining how we use technology. And remember those pose indicators in Animate-X?
Yeah.
What if anyone could use them? What if they became tools that anyone could use to create animations? You wouldn't need any special skills or training.
So instead of years of school to become an animator, you could have an app that makes it easy, like for anyone.
Exactly. And it's not just animation. Think about writing, music, even architecture.
Hmm.
AI tools that help people write better stories, compose better music, design buildings in new ways.
So AI could be like this ultimate creative partner, helping us to do more than we ever could on our own.
That's the idea. But with all this AI stuff, it's easy to forget about us humans, right? Where does human creativity fit into all of this?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is. At the end of the day, it's still about human ingenuity. Our dreams, our questions, our emotions. AI can be a tool, but we have to give it meaning.
So it's not about AI replacing us, it's about it helping us do more, helping us express ourselves in new ways.
Exactly. It's a partnership. Human imagination plus technology. And who knows what amazing new things we'll create together.
That's what makes this so exciting. It's not just the future of animation, it's the future of creativity.
It is. And that future, it's full of incredible potential. But also, we have to be aware of how this tech affects society. Make sure it's used responsibly so everyone benefits.
That's a perfect point to wrap things up on. It's been awesome exploring Animate-X and all the possibilities of AI-powered animation. It's clear that this tech is changing everything. How we create, how we experience the digital world, it's all changing.
And with any new tech, the most important thing is to be curious, to think critically, and to use it to make the world a better place.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for being here for this deep dive into Animate-X. It's been a blast. And to our listener, thanks for joining us on this journey. Hopefully it's giving you lots to think about. The future of animation is bright. Until next time.